Magandang ano ba, hapon, gitna ng magandang hapon at magandang gabi. So welcome everyone to Usapang Training at iba pa. This is our 18th episode. Tama ba ako? 18th? So,
Yes.
andito pa rin ang ating tropang trainers para sa sabay-sabay tayo. 1, 2, 3.
Usapang
Training.
Usapang
at
iba
iba
pa.
pa.
Training
Muntik
at
nang
iba pa.
magkasabay.
Ayan, di tayo pa rin makasabay-sabay. Siguro pang mga 100th episode natin, medyo maganda ng ating pagkasabay-sabay. So, let me introduce myself. My name is Pearl Martinez. I am the Global L&D Manager for SGS & Co. and currently the Chair of the Membership Committee of PSTD. Of course, here with me, our tropang trainers. So, who wants to start? Ed, you want to start? Ed, are you around? Nawala yata si Ed.
Wala si
June,
Ed.
June, ikaw muna.
Yes, good afternoon everyone. My name is June Roy, past president po ng PSTD and currently serving as governance advisor and working as OD consulting head of the Mura Research Institute. Yan.
Yan.
Welcome po.
And we have Louie Banta.
Louie Banta, CEO Chief Trainer of LJNB Consulting at isa pong supporter ng PSTD.
Yan. Malaking supporter si Louie. Ayan, si Ed, nandyan na. Ed, are you back with us?
Nako, pagpasensyahan niyo po at mukhang inaalat ang aking internet connection. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Ed Ebreo, member ng PSTD Board at CEO of Executive Serve Corporation. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat.
Ayan. Napaka-exciting ng ating topic ngayon, ano? At alam ko maraming excited dun sa topic natin on career development. Pero before we start and before we introduce our esteemed guest for today, yan, makinig muna tayo sa mga developments ng PSTD with Balitang PSTD.
Ayan, muli magandang hapon po sa ating lahat and thank you for being here. At syempre, sisimulan natin ang ating programa sa pamamagitan ng pag-share ng mga balitang nangyayari sa ating organisasyon. Ngayon pong July ay meron po tayong 3 programa. Ayan, yung Competency Framework Building for Talent Development is a program that I will run starting July 5. 2 araw po yan. At marami po akong isi-share na tools and templates on how to create a competency framework and competency dictionary, map the positions, position profiling and talent profiling. Yan po ay sa Miyerkules at Huwebes. At yung facilitating skills training will start on July 18 to 20. This is a certification course. Kapag ka po kayo ay nakatapos ng facilitation skills training at nag-submit kayo ng inyong demo facilitation, you can get certified for level 1. Level 1 certification as a facilitator. So certified facilitator level 1 kayo. And then yung measuring the value of learning is actually training evaluation course to be facilitated by one of our colleagues, si AM Villaluz or Ana May Villaluz. At ito po ay certification course din. Kapag po ang output po nitong training na ito ay training evaluation plan. So this is one half pala of the certification. Kasi dalawang kailangan mo to be a certified analyst level 1. That is yung TNA at saka yung training evaluation. So this is the other half. So kung kayo po ay hindi pa nakatake nito and you want to make sure that you're doing it correctly, the training evaluation from level 1 to level 4, umattend po kayo nitong programa na ito. And I'm proud to announce na na-launch na po natin noong June 27 ang ating bagong hot off the oven na JPSTD program or Junior PSTD program. We launched it through our learning conversation which was attended by several universities and schools at nagpalitan po tayo ng kuro-kuro tungkol sa sa nangyayaring gap, yung pagkatapos gumraduate ng mga estudyante kaya ba nilang mag-perform ng talent development work. And we found that the JPSTD is a way to prepare them for a rewarding career in talent development na pag-usapan nga doon na karamihan sa atin ay incidental ang pagiging talent development professionals, no? So by launching the JPSTD, we will be preparing people before they graduate to become prepared as entry-level talent development professionals. And then watch out for July 27th, first Talent Development Research Conference. Ayan, umattend po tayo. I think that if we are passionate talent development professionals, we should be hungry for learning. Those two go together. You cannot be a passionate talent development practitioner if you're not hungry for knowledge. And this program is where you need to go to find out what's latest, how we can do knowledge gathering. So yan po yung ating Talent Development Research Conference on July 27. At yung pong ating Gawad Maestro nomination ay nag-close na. At marami po tayong mga nominees. At kung kayo po ay a-attend sa Boracay, ay mapapanood po ninyo. Or maybe baka isa sa inyo ay awardee ng ating 6 PSTD Gawad Maestro. And last but not the least, kung kayo po ay sumusubaybay sa FB group or FB page ng PSTD, maaaring alam nyo na we lined up excellent speakers, resource persons on the subject matter of talent development. And please join us, learn more, and network because when you put talent development professionals together in one place, we kind of cross-pollinate ideas. Kung naka-attend po kayo nung Tipanan last week yun, Jude? Last week, nag-usap lang ang mga nagkwentuhan lang ang mga talent development professionals, ang daming natutunan. So please join the community, and if you are not yet a member of PSTD, be a member, go to the website and click membership. So yan po ang ating balitang PSTD. Back to you, Pearl.
Yes. So, thank you, Ed. And of course, nakita nyo, ang dami talagang activity. So, dapat talaga kung hindi pa kayo member, kailangan mag-member na kayo para ma-avail nyo. Sulit na sulit ang membership ninyo. Maka-attend nga lang kayo, yung discount lang sa isang training. Bawing-bawi na lahat ng mga ginastos nyo for the application and for the membership fee. Yan. So, ngayon ang pag-uusapan natin is career development in the context of talent development. And I think before we even go into that realm of career development, it would be good for us to understand ano muna yung talent development framework ng PSTD. Kasi dito pumapasok yung career development doon sa buong framework na yon. Ano ba talaga yung talent development? Kasi sanay tayo, lang tayo dati, training ang tawag sa atin, training and development, naging learning and development, ngayon talent development. So we want to understand what is the framework or how do we understand talent development when it comes to the overall understanding of PSTD sa talent development. So as usual, babalik ko ulit kay Ed para ma-explain niya sa atin ano ba yung talent development framework ng PSTD.
Okay. Thank you, Pearl. Ayan. Siguro this also sets the stage for what's going to happen in the next several episodes of the Usapang training. I think this is the perfect venue for us to explore the components or elements of the Philippine Talent Development Framework as developed by the PSTD. So meron po tayong 4 na components, no? Milestones. Hindi siguro siya milestones, but
Stages.
stages of team development. So we have pagmulat, discovery of one's talents, paglinang or paghusay, which is molding and shaping of one's talent leading to mastery and excellence. Paglaya is about freedom to choose the avenues for expression and maximization of one's talent. Medyo malalim yung isang yun, ano? Ibig sabihin lang doon, mapupuntahan mo yung gusto mong mapuntahan. Yun, which is a very important part of our topic today. And then pagtagumpay is about the realization and actualization of one's gift, no? Pagtagumpay is also pagtagumpay ng talent, ng talento, at pagtagumpay ng organization o ng organisasyon. Now, there are several components at hindi ko po iisa-isahin ito dahil baka pag pinaliwanag ko, ubos na yung oras natin. What I want to point out is career management is one of them. No, after you hire the talent, okay, talent acquisition, ang pag-usapan natin lang is talent assessment. Na feeling namin hindi namin nabigyan ng hustisya yung career development. Kaya ngayon, ang pag-uusapan natin is career development as part of career management. Ano yung mga arrows at connection? That's what we're going to talk about this evening. Okay, so yan muna po. At back to you, Pearl.
Okay, so we want to get the discussion going. So we'd like to introduce our esteemed guest for today. At talagang sabi nga ni Jun siyang lodi talaga ng talent development dito sa Pilipinas. He's currently,
Institusyon.
yes, he's currently the CEO of Investing in People or Investment in People.
Investor in People.
Investor in People Philippines, sorry. And of course, he was a past president of PMAP and PSTD. Sabi nga niya, paano ko siya i-introduce? Sabi niya, ako, tingnan natin as TVJ, kung kilala niyo ang TVJ, di ba? TVJ has been 44 years. Siya naman ang TVJ ng talent development dito sa Pilipinas, ng HR dito sa Pilipinas. And he will talk about career development and sabi nga niya, yung ginagawa nila sa investors in people is like the ISO for HR. So let's all welcome with a round of applause, pag ganyan paikot, with an emoji of a clapping emoji, our guest for today, Mr. Gerry Plana. Welcome, Gerry, to Usapang Training.
Thank you, Pearl. Thank you, Tropang Training.
Yeah. Ayan, meron pumapasok na maingay. Okay. Oo, yeah.
Anyway, so I'm playing a different role now. I've been watching your episodes very religiously. Kasi gusto ko itong format na magkwentuhan lang tayo.
Oo nga. Lagi ka nga namin nakikita eh.
I don't have to prepare any PowerPoint slides. Di ba? Yun ang advantage sa ganito eh. But I think this is also very important for our audience kasi ibang dating, pag if it's in a conversation style.
Correct.
Very, very good to be here with you and have this conversation with you. Yes.
Okay, so let's start off the discussion, Gerry. Nakita naman natin yung framework ng talent development ng PSTD, no? Sa experience mo, ano ba yung importance ng career planning, career management? Ang daming terms na may career, no? Career planning, career development, career management. When we look at the overall talent development and even as overall HR.
When I saw that framework, if you'll notice, yung mga components of that framework are not really isolated things, no? So there's a lot of intersection and like for instance, career development, when we talk about that, has a lot of relationship with succession planning, for instance.
Yeah.
So kasi pag sinabi nating succession planning and then we mix that with career planning, the concept that comes to mind for me is yung integration of interests. So what we're trying to balance here is the fact that we want to serve the growth needs of our people in terms of their careers. At the same time, we want to serve the needs of the organization as they grow in terms of the roles and the positions they need to fill up. No, so I think, you know, and all of those components really impact each other. So I think we really need to look at them as a system rather than a
Correct.
standalone isolated areas. No, yeah, that's my first reaction there. No, Pearl.
Okay. And tingin mo ba in terms of dun sa work ninyo sa investors in people, anong weight nitong parang how does it fit into your standardization process, yung buong career management?
Well, that's a very good question, Pearl, because you know, if we take a look at the simplistic way of looking at the investors in people, it's an international standard for good practice in people leadership and management. Three things only come out as the three important things that we have to note. Three words, basically: leadership, performance, and innovation. And these three components really make up of what investors in people views as the organization that can thrive in a turbulent environment, especially as a result of this pandemic. No, kasi sabi natin, the organization of today, especially going into a more even turbulent future, is an organization that is both good at performance and innovation. But the problem with these two areas is you need different requirements to produce each of these outcomes. If you're good in performance, you're not necessarily good in innovation. So because these are entirely different skill sets, mindsets, and everything like that. And this is where the challenge really comes in terms of leadership, because leadership is at the center of that. So your question, so where does learning and development, where does career development really come in? What is hidden in these three areas is the word learning. Because if leaders are not investing enough in people through learning, growth, there will be no performance and innovation to speak about in the first place. So the invisible but the more powerful word there is what are leaders doing so that people continue to grow, so that it feeds into the performance and the innovation requirements of organizations as they face a turbulent environment. So that's my short answer to your question.
Okay. How about yung mga kasama natin dito sa Usapang training? Meron ba kayong tanong kay Gerry? June or Louie?
Papakiramdaman kami ni Jun.
It's not really a question, but it's an affirmation of what Gerry mentioned. If leaders are not investing enough in the learning and career development of people, then it would definitely affect yung performance and innovation. So I like that because it puts development and career management at the very center of why you do innovation and why you do leadership development. Yan. So kung may dadagdag ko lang, it would be a simple question of just to reinforce what Gerry mentioned, bakit ba tayo nagtitrain? Di ba? Para magtagumpay. And one of the ways na makita natin magtagumpay, people are able to achieve their career potential. So kaya mahalaga yung training and career development for that matter to help them succeed.
If I may butt in there, I want to build on what June is saying here. Because based on my experience with investors in people, this is where we're helping organizations before they get accredited, because there's an assistance phase before an evaluation phase for accreditation purposes. Is the connection of learning and performance and innovation seems to be not too clear in with many organizations. That's why the learning part in the learning piece in organizations it's not celebrated enough the same way we celebrate performance and innovation. And yet that's the fuel. So without it, I don't think we can really perform too much or even innovate, especially if we're not learning and growing, if we're not learning and growing the people within the organization. So I think the challenge for PSTD is how do we make organizations and management realize this connection so that we can have learning goals, we can celebrate learning achievements and things like that, which is part of the learning journey. No?
Yeah, I agree. Kasi nakita ko yung maraming organizations ako that I've been with na they're so focused on like performance management, di ba? Pero yung tie-up, di ba? Yung paano mong, yung mga nakukuha mong lessons sa performance reviews, kunyari, paano mo tina-tie up yun doon sa learning practices mo within the organization? At kasama rin doon yung paano mo rin tina-tie up yung career planning with your performance management process. I think yun yung isang nagkukulang sa mga organizations. Sobrang focus natin sa KPIs, pero yung learning ng mga tao nakakalimutan at yung career.
Yan yung gusto kong sabihin, Pearl, yung KPIs, no? Everybody is obsessed with measuring performance and even innovation, no? Pero yung pag-monitor, mag-measure sa learning, parang naiiwan lang sa HR or sa mga L&D professionals.
Correct.
You know, I have one theory why we're having this challenge, this difficulty. Because for a long time, training has been so much associated with classroom training. It's something that is different, separate from operations. Parang, you know, kumisan is parang storbo pa nga yan, you know. Nakastorbo naman kayo eh. We're trying to, you know, create business here, you know. But I think with the advent of action learning and the 70-20-10 that we're talking about now, yun na siguro ano, para magkaroon ng different mindset in terms of learning. Does not have to be always getting people out for a classroom session, no, which can disrupt operations. Why can't we embed the learning into the operations process itself? That's why we talk about action learning, for instance. You know, siguro yung pag nakuha na yan ng management, then I think we will have more chances of really elevating the importance and the value of learning within in organizations.
Correct. May tanong si Ed dito, Gerry, no? What is the difference between having a career development plan and an annual training plan?
Okay, that's a very good question. Yung annual training plan usually is just about the present the present requirements, no? So parang within the year, what's going to be our training plan. And usually when you take a look at the annual training plan, it's usually a lot of technical training. It's actual, you know, what do we need for next year? But when we talk about career development, it will have to touch on the more futuristic. You're talking about careers, no? But it doesn't mean, and this is a misconception about career development. It doesn't mean that when we do CD or career development, that all the benefits will just accrue in the future. There are benefits along the way as people gain new competencies. That will be easily translated into impact, into what people are doing, even in the present, no, as the career development is being implemented. So it's not just something that will happen at some future time. So that's a big difference, no? Annual training plan, take a look at it. It's a lot of what do we need for next year? Okay, and that's usually about the here and the now. But when we talk about CD or career development, we're really looking at people's careers. Remember, especially the young people now, career is very important for them. Where do I go from here? Is this a dead end job for me? I want to know. Tell me, Mr. Manager, tell me. Because if you don't tell me, I leave. And probably talk about metrics. That's probably one of the metrics of CD, retention. You're able to retain people because you have something to offer in terms of career development.
Yeah.
And as a follow-up question, Pearl, no, just to verify with Gerry that the career development plan, kasi annual nga si training plan, sabi ni Ed, could span for 2 or 3 or 5 years, no?
Yeah.
And next, the career development plan is actually broader and is just supported by the annual training plan. Tama ba, Gerry? Yung aking
that's right. You can even have a 10-year career development plan.
Mas strategic yung career development plan.
And career development plans are tied to your life goals.
Yes.
So medyo talagang and this resonates well with people because people, especially the young ones, they like to grow. The
Yeah.
problem with the young ones in many organizations I sometimes get in touch with is napapabayaan yung mga young entrants nila. There's no guidance. That's why they leave. That's why turnover can be very high, because they say, I'm not even guided here. I'm just given a job. I don't know what to do. Nobody's guiding me. So they
Yeah.
leave.
So, siguro, sa buong tropang trainers and also si Gerry, no, what are some maybe methodologies, processes in career development? I think ito yung mga interest ng mga ating mga tropang trainers na nakikinig, di ba? Ano yung mga sample na ginawa nyo na or nakita nyo with other organizations on how they actually did or actually do career development or career management? What are some of the best practices that you've seen? Yan,
Si
nagtatantsahan
Gerry
naman
muna.
tayo. Yeah, sige.
This is the role of the guest, no? First,
we take the lead from you, Gerry.
you know what? In the early days, and I can talk history because I've been around for a while.
PBJ nga eh.
And which I don't see too much anymore these days, no? Is meron tayong ginagawang career planning workshops. We don't get to see much of that anymore. So these workshops are really helping individuals really get into themselves, have this self-analysis, what am I good at, what are my interests, and then they match it with careers that are offered within the organization. So there's a systematic process of matching, so that we can really develop a plan that is truly meaningful for people, no? Because we just don't want to make a plan out of just creating a plan, no? A career development plan. So that's one practice probably we need to revisit. Because if we don't have that, probably the next best thing in terms of best practice is our managers talking to their people about careers. Aside from performance.
Pwede makisali. Pasensya na nagluloko yung aking internet. Hello. Ayan. I want to respond to what Gerry said about about yun, Gerry, na ng career planning. And nawala.
Copy ka, Ed.
Sabi niya nawala nga.
Nawala na naman.
Oo.
Natigil.
Nawawala ka, Ed.
Try
Oo,
using your
sige.
video, Ed, para kahit audio lang.
Okay. How about
Sige,
now?
tayo.
Okay na ba?
Yan.
Ayan,
better.
yan. Medyo.
Yeah, better.
Hello. Okay na. Better. And yung I was talking ay nawala
Bakit
na
talaga
delete.
internet mo? Ed,
Mag-chat na lang ako.
Sige.
Chat na lang.
Siguro, I want to share that I did parang a career planning framework dati. Ang ginamit kong mnemonics, di ba? Mnemonics is career, di ba? Alam mo naman tayo, Louie, ang hilig natin sa mga mnemonics at sa mga acronym eh. So first, letter C, kailangan clear yung career aspirations, individual strengths, and areas for development. So that's C. And then A is action goals to transform clarification information to actionable steps. Tapos yung R, relationship building for networking and mentoring, kasi kailangan yun, di ba, sa pag-develop ng iyong career. Yung E is to build up experiences outside and in work that contribute to your development. Tapos yung another E is education and training to attain the knowledge and qualifications necessary. And the last R, kailangan may roadmap to help you reach your career goals. Yan ang aking dating mga ganyan na mga acronyms. So yun yung acronym ko on career. How about you, June? Sa Nomura or maybe sa PruLife?
Now, before Nomura, let me cite some example from PruLife kasi nandito yung head ng OD and L&D, si Daisy, no? Alvior. So pwede mong dugtungan, Daisy, ano? But one thing that I love about PruLife when I was there, and it's not only ProLife UK, this is Prudential PLC, the global organization, yung integration ng career planning with talent acquisition, with succession planning, of course, with full integrated siya, even with rewards, and then with performance management. So masyadong mahaba kung i-discuss ko lahat. So example, sa performance management, mayroong potential rating at mayroong career conversations. So that means we are rating individuals not only with their how they perform, but also their potential to assume greater roles or bigger responsibilities. And then part ng process is pagkakaroon ng career conversations. So the conversation, it's not only about how you perform, pero what are your career goals and aspirations. So therefore, yung IDP mo, yung individual development plan, is composed of both the development opportunities and interventions that would make you more capable in what you do now and in what you are capable or potentially capable of doing in the future. So ganun yung some few examples, no? So maybe if you are free to speak, Daisy, you might, baka may mga developments na, no? Because that was 2007, but ProLife then is one of the best practices globally pagdating sa career.
Yan, Ed, are you okay now with your mic and your internet? Mukhang hindi ka pa.
Wala, nag-give up na ako.
Ayan. Malinaw na ngayon.
Try.
Marami ako sa chat eh. But I'm interested, si Daisy kanina nag-mute eh. She might want to say
Daisy,
something.
yeah, please, Daisy.
So, Norman, can we
Hi,
unmute
Daisy.
si Daisy?
Hi.
Hi,
Yes.
Daisy. Yeah,
Daisy.
please.
Hindi lang ako camera ready ah.
Okay lang, sige lang. We can hear you.
Magandang
Yeah,
buksan yung
so
camera.
I second the motion to June. I think Prudential, or I've been in several industries, been around in HR, and ProLife is one of the robust talent reviews that connects performance management, succession planning, and learning. Ito siyang buo ko siyang nakita, and every year there is really a deliberate discussion, and we call people review. So we sit down from, not just from learning for success, not just from succession or talent review, but also the comp side, which nakakalimutan minsan, di ba? So sometimes you have all these trainings, pero umaalis pa rin yung ano. Sometimes there is a tangible motivation as well, no, to strive or to aspire for longer term goals, development goals. So I think that's one of the medyo magaan yung trabaho ko as talent development, kasi medyo ano na siya, in terms of the basic and foundational, it is there. It's there already.
Yeah,
Ayun,
thank you.
if I may react to that, June and Daisy. Ito yung importance ng nung capacitating the managers to manage and planning and management of the career of the employees. Yung sinasabi ni Gerry, yung career planning workshop nung araw. Normally, disjointed sa, parang hindi connected doon sa direct manager. Tapos ginawa, mga managers, ayusin niyo yung IDP tao niyo, doing it consistently. I think you have to inculcate yung organization. The manager must be equipped to manage the career of their staff, no? Show them how they can get to their desired positions in their organization. That's the conversation, sabi nga ni Daisy.
I have a little anecdote there, Pearl, if I may.
Yes. Yes,
Uh,
please.
Kumisa nang nangyayari, this is what's happening in some organizations, people have IDPs, but since it was HR driven, there's no regular discussion about it. So it's a once a year thing. So the only use for HR is para naging TNA nila yung IDP,
Correct.
yung IDP result na yun, no? So I think what we need to do is really make it manager owned. So that if the IDP is really done with the manager, and he will be obligated to have regular development discussions. Yun ang kulang eh. There's no regular development discussions, no? Just like all this, most of the discussions are just performance.
Minsan nga, filling in the form lang eh. Di ba? Para lang may form si HR.
So what
lagay lang
many
natin.
managers don't realize is if you want to improve performance, you must have development conversations.
Correct.
Diba? They don't see that link. And in investors and people, that's one of the emphasis points in terms of good practice.
How about you, Louie?
Ang ganda nung sabi ni Gerry kasi I read an article, HBR, Harvard Business Review, no? Sabi, instead of a performance-focused culture, where, if you're so performance-focused, it leads to a toxic work environment, no? Because you drive people to perform. Instead of performance-focused daw, dapat growth-focused culture daw tayo. Di ba? How can that happen nga kung yung IDPs nagiging input lang to the annual training plans, no? So dapat ibalik talaga yung practice ng career planning and make the manager and the employee have a shared responsibility on this one. And then HR and training comes in to really articulate that into annual training plans and 70-20, 70-20-10 structured exercises.
And I think one of the things that I've learned over the years is that as part of the KPIs of the leaders, kailangan merong KPI on development. Kasi minsan yun yung nakakalimutan eh. Parang KPIs natin is all about performance, operations, production. Pero nakakalimutan natin yung role ng leaders, and dapat part ng KPI nila is like how many people, ilan yung tao nila na na-develop nila sa isang taon. Ilang tao nila ang maybe na-promote or maybe sa succession plan. Ilan yung tumaas nag-increase ang kanilang performance when it comes to development, di ba? Yung dati mong ready later, dapat maging ready now within a few years. Dapat part yun ng iyong KPIs, di ba? Tama ba ako?
Actually, I
Yes.
have a question for Gerry in relation to what you mentioned, Pearl. No, sa investors and people ba, what kind of KPIs do you look at related to career development?
So in investors and people, it's not a question of specific KPIs we're looking at. No, we're just looking at the principle of, parang sinabi natin, is learning, fueling performance and innovation.
Practices, no?
So practice, kasi the difference between sometimes we're so used as HR as launching programs, but in investors and people, we have a focused way of looking at a practice. A practice is differentiated from a program. You can have a program, but not the practices is happening, no? So the practice is like, is the program embedded? Is it coming out of the daily, rituals, habits, experiences of people? So that's a practice. And we have a way of really assessing the maturity level of the practice, no? And if it's not mature, we have guidance in terms of how to make it mature so that it becomes more embedded, no? So going there, and I just wanted to build on what Louis was saying earlier. Ang problema natin is we're so focused on the lag measure. So if you know the lead and lag measure concept, performance is a lag measure. Learning is a lead measure. The same way we had that struggle with the balance scorecard, no? Dati financial lang ang ini-scorecard natin, and then all of a sudden meron ng customer, and then people, no? The others are lead. Financial is a lag. We're just so focused on getting the results now, the lag. So I think we need to really make managers aware that if you want to influence the lag, you have to work on the lead. And learning is a lead. factor. It's controllable. We can do something about performance if we are able to do something about a lead factor like learning.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a very
Yeah.
good
Mm-mm.
learning for us, di ba? Yung lead and lag measures, and dapat talaga magkaroon tayo both.
Right. Pearl, itahiin ko lang yon. And Jerry, please confirm if I got it right. So, the maturity of practice in career development, including L&D in general, can be actually your KPI, no? In a way. So, and then you can convert that practices into a set of data. Tama ba?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you're on the right track. Kaya lang siyempre when you see a maturing practice like does this organization have a good practice in career development? So marami na aside from manager participation,
Yes, may mga checkpoints.
di ba? Retention is impacted already because of that. People are saying, I grow in this company. Marami ng mga factors that evidences that you can say, wow, this organization is fantastic when it comes to really career development.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So audience natin, if you have any questions for us or specifically for Gerry, please either type it in the chat box or you can tell us if you want to talk. Pwede namin i-open yung mic nyo para you can ask it. Kasi may mga tao ayaw nilang magsulat eh. Ako mabagal ako magsulat eh.
Before they
Yeah.
ask the question, siguro lang, it might be, it might be relevant at this point in time just to talk a little bit about my own career.
Okay.
Para
Maganda yan.
magkaroon lang ng personal So, I think several things happened in my career that when I reflect on it, made me really where I am right now, in terms of my early HR career. I think three things that happened. First of all, I started my career not as an in-house HR. I started as a consultant. I joined organizations like John Clements, Guthrie Jensen. I was part of that. Before I went in and became HR head. So I think that was an advantage because it gave me the breadth. It gave me exposure to many organizations even before I assumed an HR, an HR head role in an organization. The other thing is early in my career, I got exposed to organization development. During the time, I don't know if you remember, if you were already there, of Robert Blake and Jane Mouton, the one who invented, one of the pioneers of OD, really, Robert Blake, in the 80s, the managerial grid then, now it's called the leadership grid. So I got really trained because of that. So it gave me a lot of of OD perspective getting into an HR role. And the third thing that has never left me is ever since I started my HR career, I have never left training. Meaning to say, up to this day, I'm still an active trainer. So that is something that I have not really, relinquished, kumbaga, because that's how I started. I started my HR career as a trainer, and I just continued with that. Even if I was leading entire HR teams, I made sure I had a part in training. So those are the three things I think that that contributed a lot to my journey, to my career journey in becoming, in my HR journey. I just wanted to share that very quickly. Yeah.
Ayun.
Sorry, nakamute. Ayan, okay ka na, Ed?
Up and down yung aking internet connection pero
si June naman nag-brown out daw sa kanila.
Oo, ano ba yan? Masama kasi ang panahon. So, I was listening closely to Gerry's sharing of his career growth and ano nyo pala to Guthrie Jensen kasi si Pearl at si Louie hindi mo na itatanong Gerry ex-Guthrie Jensen din
Oh, really? That's nice to know. It's one of the original who formed the Guthrie Jensen with Vic Guzman and Gerry A. Yeah.
Ayun. So, pero I think for a lot of the successful L&D and HR practitioners, they were able to create a path for themselves. But ano no, dito sa career development, nare-realize ko yung value ng mentoring as an essential element in the success of the individuals. Yung meron kang mentor to help you navigate through the kasi I'm sure hindi tayo pare-pareho ng path, pero yung presence of a mentor in our professional life, I think, is a great deal, and that's something that a manager can take on, that particular role of a mentor who will help you with your IDPs, see to it that you're making progress with your goals, that you're getting the intervention that you need so that you're able to learn and grow and develop the competencies required to take on bigger roles in the future.
Ed, can I just add a quick thing to what you're saying? Because
Yes, Gerry.
mentoring really plays a mentor plays a big role in one's career development. But sometimes it's not easy to get a mentor.
That's true.
I mean, di ba? Medyo hindi naman ganun kadali. Oh. Can you be my mentor, no? So what I did, which happened to me, I did not really exactly have a mentor, but what I did was I had buddies. When I say a buddy, this is a person who like-minded, no? Also wanting to develop. Parang both of you are passionate about HR and you want to develop. Because the buddy can somehow replace the mentor, because you need somebody to exchange ideas with. You need like a sparring partner in terms of how you're experiencing things, how you process your experience, what new competencies are you learning, what struggles are you having, So if you can't get a mentor, my suggestion is get a buddy. Get somebody that you can have these frequent conversations and interactions.
And I
That will
think
be easier to get.
that's also why this Usapang training at iba pa is really a good avenue for like trainers to be talking to each other, di ba? And also learning from like experts like yourself, di ba? Kasi hindi mo naman makukuha yan. Usually nga magbabayad ka para magkaroon ka ng training, di ba, sa ibang organization. And also that's the role of PSTD. Kasi yan, dyan ka talaga matututo with like-minded individuals.
Pero looking at this and I appreciate how we appreciate yung having a learning buddy or a mentor or a coach. But from a systematic perspective, yung pagkakaroon mo, Gerry, for example, ng learning buddy is your initiative, right? Sometimes a mentor or a coach will initiate, or we initiate, we look for a mentor. Ano siya heroic, hindi siya systematic. As talent development practitioners, I think an important thing that we should be able to do is create a program, a system, so that people, minsan kasi nahihiya tayo di ba? Nahihiya tayong humingi ng tulong. Sometimes we're even shy about offering mentorship. Baka sabihin itong tao to na masyado akong nagmamagaling, sasabihin ko may mentor ko siya. Kung ayaw naman niya sa akin. But if there is a program in an organization that allows for people to explore career development through mentorship, I think that's something that we should pursue in our organization. Pursue developing that kind of program. And that's, I think, something that PSTD should also aspire for, is to create a program that educate or capacitate the talent development professionals to create a system within that organization as part of the career development program of the organization. What do you think of that, Gerry?
Siguro, before
I
you
think-
answer, Gerry, may tanong, anonymous question, ayaw what are the ways to find a mentor? Kasi related dun sa pag-uusapan na yung about mentoring and body. So what are the ways to find a mentor or buddies if you're just new in the field and independently working instead of having like being in a company. So do these mentors ask for a fee? So meron bang ano bang exchange gift ba to?
Usually, yeah, usually mentors compared to coaches are free compared to ang coaching kasi has gotten that status of really becoming a profession already na talagang people really earn from it, no? I'd like to answer that question by saying that I think this is where PSTD can do something about, because this kind of concerns me. Why coaching has become so elevated and mentoring is not even at par with that. When in fact, when you ask people, when they say I'm coaching somebody, they're actually mentoring.
Mm,
Oh,
true.
di ba? Pag sinabi, I'm coaching these people. Actually, what they're describing is mentoring, not real coaching. So probably this is a challenge for PSTD. Probably this can be part of a future benefit that members can have in a more systematic way. Mentoring, no? Mentoring. I think especially the young ones, I think they really need a lot of mentoring, no? So I don't know. Probably that's some challenge that we can take up, because mentoring is really very critical for career development.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
balik ako dun sa question ng paano daw makakahanap ng mentor? Kung paano yun, individual ka, wala ka sa kumpanya, gusto mo mag-develop, saan ka maghahanap ng mentor?
Actually, a mentor is a role model, no? You might
Yeah.
have in your circle of friends somebody you look up to, and probably you can be so assertive and say, "Can you be my mentor?" I mean, I want to grow. I want to, and just some people at this certain age might say, "Okay, I have some time. I can give that to you." Mentors want to give back already. Pag ano, di ba? At certain stage, no, they're very concerned about developing the young. Kaya lang we can make that more formal within the PSTD.
Yeah.
PMAP has something along that area. They have a formal mentoring program. They have mentees and mentors talaga. They match, and they go on a relationship for 1 year.
Ayan. Pwede natin, nandito si mentor at si Coach Maribel.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why we cannot elevate mentoring even to the same level as a coach, because that's what people do, but they can do that better. No? Like, kaya lang kung minsan siguro yung mentoring natin should really focus on what are the different ways of giving quality advice without necessarily being intrusive or whatever, no? Siguro nandun yung kasi minsan naka-focus tayo sa administration part of mentoring, like the matching process and things like that. But the quality of the conversation, siguro we need to deepen that.
Ako, I have two things to add, no? Feeling ko kaya napag-usapan natin kanina yung status ng coaching at mentoring, no? Bakit ngayon talagang coaches are paid? I see it as coaching as more short term, eh. It's a current need, no? Kailangan ko magpa-coach ngayon because I need the skills, no? So I can succeed in the next week, month, or quarter. Mentoring is more long-term, di ba? Kasi it's nga long-term relationship nga, no? And second point I'd like to add, based on, I'm stimulated by what you're saying here, we need to strengthen the organization's capability for career management systems, and at the same time strengthen the self-development drive of individuals, no? Para nagsasabay siya. May venue, pero actually kahit walang venue, you can approach anybody, you can ask for mentorship, you can reach out to anybody, no? There's nothing that should stop us from getting a mentor or a learning buddy. Kung magsabay siya, di ba? Ang ganda. Both the organization and the employee seeking learning and development.
If I may just add in, one of the key ingredients for career development, I think, is the notion that the employees must own their own development.
Yeah.
I think that's the key there. Pag ang attitude or the mindset is still, I will wait if there are opportunities for the company to provide. Because if you own it, you'll even spend your own money to develop yourself. You will have a budget for that. That's how serious you are. No, unless you do that, I don't think it will be sustainable. So that's
Kaya kami pag yung part ng succession planning, one of the things that we look at aside from competency, yung problem solving ability, is also the achievement factor. Tinatawag namin achievement. Yung drive ng tao to progress in his or her career. Pag wala yon, hindi ka magiging part nung sinasabi naming succession plan kasi mababa yung achievement factor mo
That's
Eh,
right.
Jerry, by extension, that would lead to also owning your career, no? So owning your development, that
Yeah.
means owning and taking
Mm.
charge of your own career, because we've heard, I mean, we are all, most of us, if not all of us, are in HR also, no? How many times we've heard people blame HR management kasi hindi sila binigyan ng opportunities and all, no? So that's where I'm coming from. So that's why I like what you said, kasi parang extension yun ng owning your future,
Yeah.
owning your career.
And I have one quick advice when we're making our own career development plans and things like that. I think we need to etong simple ditch the title, embrace the experience. Kasi kung minsan we're so enamored by I want to be this vice president of this, that's my career goal. It's very title focused. When in fact sometimes you can have a position like that, but the experience is not rich, no? So I think we should be more focused on experiences that produce the competencies.
Yes.
That's the guarantee.
Nagmamadali kasi ngayon yung
Oo.
ang younger generation.
Hindi lang yan. Kasi culturally, title focus talaga tayo mga Pinoy.
Oo,
Totoo yun.
totoo yan.
Dito lang sa atin yung yung pag-engineering, pagka-engineer ka, tawag sa'yo engineer, di ba?
Kaya
Di
nga
ba, Basa?
kami, career plan namin, meron ibang steps na coach 1, coach 2, coach 3.
We're very
Oo.
title conscious.
Title focus. Ayan,
Oo.
so ayan, kulang na naman tayo. So, meron ilang minuto na lang ang natitira sa atin. So, as we end this conversation, very interesting conversation. So, Gerry, meron ka bang final words for our listeners today?
I think I just want to go back to that idea that we need to take a serious look at learning, really, career development is one side of that, but we saw so many things in the framework that was presented by Edwin. I think it's about time we really give serious attention, because if we really want to perform and innovate, and these are the two key things, outcomes that organizations need. I think we need to really mature and really focus on how we can invest in people's growth and development through learning. So I just wanted to end with that because that is probably the crux of the issue here.
So, how about you, Edwin, Louie, and June? Any final words for our listeners and our participants for today?
Kahit na pa mali-bali yung aking internet connection, I really appreciate Gerry's insights today, to put some flesh on what we're talking about when we say career development. And you showed us, Gerry, gaano kalaki yung trabaho ng talent development practitioners to create a culture that allows for mentoring and mentorability of the employees, and that's something that I think PSTD needs to pick up, and make part of our program. So I'm excited about that, and I'm so looking forward to making that a reality for PSTD.
Yan. How about you, June or Louie? Final words.
Louis?
As talent development professionals, lagi nating mention sa ating mga training, own your development. Di ba? Even if may mga pa-training na ganito, salamat sa management, salamat sa company, but always inculcate, take charge of your own skill building.
Good. And
Yeah.
how about you, June?
Yeah, dugtungan ko yung sinabi ni Louie, and this also came from Gerry, no? So therefore, the implication is that our role as HR, OD, or talent development professionals is not just to create and deliver plans, whether that's career development plan, training plan, but to create the environment by which those plans and all the other activities that we do enable individuals and the people to own their career, own their future. so that they can pursue that growth mindset, no? So dinugtungan ko lang yung mga sinasabi nila. And then lastly, I love what Gerry mentioned about, finding your own mentor, and then by implication also, by extension, then that would lead us to creating or finding our communities of learners or communities of practice. And without you knowing it, no, even if it is not formalized, PSTD is an excellent platform to find your mentors. Here, we are being mentored, no, not formally, walang mentoring agreement, but as we listen and as we share insights, experiences, as we work and collaborate with others in communities, we are learning tremendously, right? And I think all of us here, Gerry, Louie, and all of those who have experience working at PSTD can attest that joining organizations, becoming active, can provide a mentoring platform for all of us. Tama ba, Miggy? Si Miggy kasi we have mentoring, informal mentoring conversations before, no? And Mentor M
Okay.
is also our informal mentor. So yun yung
Ah.
dalawang insights na nakuha ko. Thank you, Gerry.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for being here again this Sunday. But before we end, pwedeng turn on your cameras, magkaroon lang tayo ng isang group picture ng lahat ng mga nandito before we finally end the session for today. Very interesting. Lagi tayong
Yes.
bitin.
And then as we end, Pearl, the bitin part, it's really inevitable. But there's a caveat to that. No, one thing that we would love to achieve is not just to tickle the imagination, but to drive your interest on the topics that we are talking about. No, so that you
Yes.
can pursue. Then eventually you can also share it with us. No, so let's pursue this.
Yan.